Hello and thank you for joining us. To begin this morning, we would like to acknowledge the people whose lands we are gathered on today. The Anishinaabeg, Haudenosaunee, Lenape-Pewak, and the Arawandran people. We would also like to recognize the First Nation communities in the area, which include Chippewa of the Thames First Nation, Oneida Nation of the Thames, and Munsee Delaware Nation. I'm Sergeant Sandasha Bao, Media Relations Officer for the London Police Service. Today, we will be speaking in relation to enforcement activity leading to over 100 charges being laid, firearms being removed from London streets, and the seizure of millions of dollars worth of drugs. Significant seizures of fentanyl and crystal methamphetamine will be highlighted during the press conference. Firearms, drugs, and cash seized will be on display for photo opportunities. We ask that you hold all your questions until the end of the press conference, at which point we'll go over a few housekeeping items. I would now like to welcome Chief Tai Trung, who will commence the press conference with opening remarks. Chief?
Thank you, Sandasha, and good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us here today. Before we begin, I'd like to extend my appreciation to Chair Ryan Goss and the London Police Service Board, who is here today, for their continuous support and the leadership that they provide myself and the deputy chiefs. Your commitment helps us achieve our mission every day, so thank you, sir. I also want to acknowledge my deputy chiefs, Deputy Chief Paul Bastien, Deputy Chief Scott Guilford, and Deputy Chief Trina McSween, who's not here, but in her place, Acting Deputy Chief Chris Cherney, who's joined us here today, and for leading their respective areas of command. Most importantly, thank you to the community for your ongoing collaboration and trust. The results we are sharing today highlight the crucial partnership between the London community and our dedicated members. Today's announcement demonstrates significant results from strong police enforcement efforts led by our Guns and Gangs section. Under the leadership of Deputy Chief Paul Bastien, Superintendent Paul Reynolds, and Inspector Jen Noel, and Detective Sergeant John Minen, this investigation has delivered substantial results impacting not only London, but our entire province. I also want to recognize the exceptional work of our emergency response and canine unit and the invaluable tactical support provided by our partners at the Ontario Provincial Police, Toronto Police Service, and Hamilton Police Service for their support. Since 2019, the opioid crisis has had a devastating impact on our community, claiming on average 120 lives each year in London alone. More than 80% of these tragic deaths are directly linked to fentanyl. This crisis is not just local, it extends provincially and nationally. The London Police Service is fully committed to addressing this crisis through rigorous and strategic enforcement at every level: street level, mid-level, and high-level trafficking networks. It is important for the public to understand that complex investigations such as these are often seen and conducted quietly behind the scenes. I want to express my sincere gratitude and recognition to all investigators who worked to make this investigation a success, including the seizure of illegal firearms and achieving the largest fentanyl seizure in our police service's history. Community safety remains a shared responsibility. It is through sustained collaboration with residents, community partners, and law enforcement agencies that we can effectively combat drug-related crimes and violence. At this time, I'd like to introduce Deputy Chief Paul Bastien, who oversees community safety and specialized investigations, to share further details about this significant investigation.
Thank you, Chief. In a few minutes, Detective Sergeant Minen will walk you through the investigation that led to the seizure of several handguns and large quantities of fentanyl and methamphetamine. The dangers of fentanyl are well known. It's an extremely potent and dangerous opioid, far stronger than others, and it carries the risk of brain damage, organ failure, and death. Fentanyl is estimated to be about 100 times more potent than morphine. Just 2 milligrams, about the size of a few grains of salt, can be lethal depending on the purity and the individual's tolerance. While crystal methamphetamine does not carry the same level of toxicity in terms of overdoses as fentanyl does, its long-term effects are devastating. Physical issues manifest in severe dental problems for users, tremors, convulsions, and to changes to the structure of the brain, which often lead to permanent mental health issues. The items laid out before you are the result of the work by our Guns and Gangs section. The Guns and Gangs section is responsible for identifying and tracking street gangs and their members, and for conducting enforcement in relation to street gang activity, the possession of or use of illegal firearms, and the trafficking of controlled substances. Although the investigation we are highlighting today was not a joint forces operation, I do want to stress the importance of cross-agency collaboration and intelligence sharing in terms of preventing violent crime in our community. The London Police Service maintains strategic partnerships through the secondment of officers to specialized units led by the Ontario Provincial Police Organized Crime Enforcement Bureau. Units that include the Joint Forces Guns and Gangs Unit, the Provincial Weapons and Enforcement Unit, and the Provincial Asset Forfeiture Unit. It takes a network to defeat a network, and we are grateful for the support and leadership of the OPP in this space. Criminals and organized crime groups involved in the manufacturing, sale, distribution, importation, and exportation of illicit drugs do not recognize borders and threaten immeasurable harms to society. They also are frequently involved in other legal activities, including human trafficking, and therefore victimize some of our most vulnerable populations. Aside from the harms caused by powerful illicit drugs themselves, drug trafficking threatens the safety and well-being of all of us because the individuals involved in these predatory offenses carry or have ready access to illegal firearms, often handguns, as you see here. Municipal enforcement efforts targeting the individuals and groups that use firearms to facilitate the trafficking of deadly synthetic opioids remains an important strategy. Every illegal firearm seized helps reduce gun violence in our communities. For this reason, we will continue to invest in the training and development of our people in the areas of drug recognition, relevant authorities, specialized investigation, and subject matter expertise. And we will continue to resource strategically by leveraging funding opportunities through strategic deployment and service delivery. I'll now introduce Detective Sergeant John Minot.
Thank you. Today we're here to present the results of a major investigation that highlights the unwavering commitment and hard work of the dedicated members of our section. This case stems from a large-scale investigation that commenced in November 2024. The investigation was received after we received information from the community. Our team worked hard to pursue all investigative leads. They followed the evidence and quickly realized that there was a sophisticated drug trafficking network set up with ties to Toronto and to Hamilton. On April 29th, 2025, after 5 months of relentless work into the activities of the 4 accused, our Guns and Gangs section, along with members of the London Police Emergency Response section, other supporting LPS teams, and partners from the Toronto Police Services, the Hamilton Police Service, the Ontario Provincial Police took decisive action to stop the criminal activities they uncovered. That morning, 6 Criminal Code and Controlled Drugs and Substances Act search warrants were executed by tactical teams at 3 addresses in London, 2 in Toronto, and 1 in Hamilton. Thanks in large part to the extensive pre-planning and the professionalism and expertise of the emergency response teams, all warrants were successfully executed with no injuries to police or civilians. All 4 primary subjects of the investigation were located and taken into custody. Searches of the 6 listed residents revealed significant evidence, including 34.6 kilograms of fentanyl with a street value of $2,770,000, the largest fentanyl seizure in London police history. 4.6 kilograms of crystal methamphetamine with a street value of $465,000. 474 grams of cocaine with a street value of $47,000. 17.9 kilograms of a cutting agent. 4 handguns, including 3 Glocks and 1 Springfield. 1 semi-automatic pistol, Draco 7.62, which I'll talk a little bit more about later. Extended capacity magazines, drum magazines, a silencer, and ammunition. In total, 6 vehicles were seized in the course of this operation, along with approximately $248,000 in Canadian currency. As a result of this investigation, 4 individuals have been charged with a total of 117 offenses under the Criminal Code and the Controlled Drugs and Substances Act. These results represent a significant disruption to a well-organized and dangerous criminal enterprise. More importantly, they reflect the professionalism of our officers and our steadfast commitment to protecting the safety and well-being of our community. I'd like to highlight a particular charge faced by all 4 of the accused, one that is seldom laid by the London Police Service. That charge is the production of a Schedule I substance under the Controlled Drugs and Substances Act, specifically the production of fentanyl. In this case, officers seized 34.6 kilograms of fentanyl, and what they found showed a clear progression in the drug's processing. It began with large quantities of raw powdered fentanyl, processed to kilogram bags of uniformly colored chunks, and culminated in smaller multicolored ounce-sized and half-ounce-sized bags, indicating preparation for street-level dealer distribution. During the execution of the warrant, police also seized equipment commonly used to manufacture fentanyl. Items like cooking apparatus, adulterants, more commonly known as cutting agents, food coloring, masks, gloves, digital scales, and packing materials. Taken together, this evidence revealed a sophisticated and well-established operation, one that was taking highly potent fentanyl, processing it with various additives, preparing it for sale, and eventual consumption. This case involves, again, 34.6 kilograms of fentanyl. Considering the minuscule amount that it takes to kill someone, the potential here for grave and fatal consequences cannot be understated if these drugs had found their way into our communities. This is a stark example of a complete disregard for the lives and safety of our vulnerable persons experiencing addictions. We know that the impacts of addiction extend far beyond the user. It devastates families, friendships, and impacts communities. And this is just fentanyl. We've also seized about 4.6 kilograms of crystal methamphetamine. This represents over 46,000 doses of this incredibly addictive and destructive drug. Also seized was almost half a kilogram of cocaine, several handguns, loaded magazines, even large capacity drum magazines. While any firearm in the hand of drug traffickers is concerning and represents a significant risk to the public safety, I want to draw your attention to the Draco 7.62. It's technically classified as a handgun in the United States because of its pistol-style grip, but it's much more akin to a semi-automatic style rifle. It shoots, such as an AK-47, based on the type of large caliber rounds that it shoots. This weapon is prohibited in Canada. This firearm, unfortunately, has become a favorite for gang members. We have conducted trace testing on this firearm as well as the other 4 seized handguns. All 5 of the firearms can be traced back to different locations within the United States. This case is not just about drugs, nor is it just about firearms. Rather, it's about public safety on a scale that is hard to imagine. The amount of potential harm to our community represented on these display tables is disturbing. Millions of doses that would have caused tremendous harm to our community has been diverted. This investigation serves as a powerful reminder. We will continue to pursue those who endanger the safety of our city. We will hold them accountable regardless of what jurisdiction they're found in. Anyone with information surrounding the activities of the 4 accused is asked to contact the London Police Service directly at 519-661-5670, or if you wish to remain anonymous, please contact Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-8477. Additionally, anyone with general information on guns or drug activity can also contact the London Police Service directly at 519-661-5670, or again, if you wish to remain anonymous, please contact Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-8477. Thank you.
Thank you, Detective Sergeant Minen. I will now call Mayor Josh Morgan to say a few words.
Well, thank you very much. First, I want to recognize my colleagues on the Police Services Board who are here today, as well as everyone who serves in the London Police Service, whether you're on the front lines or on the supporting staff within this building. I recently had the opportunity to do almost a full tour of the building, meeting once again, many of the members who serve this community in such a phenomenal way. And I want to thank them for what they do each and every day in this community. As was described, and it's kind of disturbing to be able to look over at the table beside us and see the quantity of drugs that would have made its way out onto the streets of London, the surrounding communities, and across Ontario, and know that these are drugs that can actually kill people in small doses. The quantity seized is staggering, but it also reminds me that investments in policing are incredibly important. This council has decided to invest significantly in public safety because we know that there is criminal activity happening in the city and in this region, and a properly resourced police service can do a tremendous amount of good, not just for public safety, but for the economy and for the community. When you think about the damage that these drugs and weapons can do on the street, it is tragic to think that if these made it out onto the street, how many lives would be torn apart, impacted, and how many deaths there would be. You think about the frontline officers who had to execute the search warrants. They need to have proper equipment, proper training, and proper gear to ensure that when they're facing these weapons on the other side of the door, that they can do so safely, professionally, and bring everybody home safe, at the same time seizing these drugs and doing their work. This is why when I leave today to go to Ottawa to meet with other mayors across this country, as I chair the Big City Mayors Caucus, crime and public safety is one of our top priorities, and it has risen to be one of our top priorities for mayors across this country, because we know that there is criminal activity in our cities, and we know how it is impacting our economy and our citizens, and we need to ensure we take actions. And that's why all levels of government need to pull together to continue to make significant investments in public safety, to ensure laws are aligned, to make sure that our streets are as safe as possible. And that means both investments in policing, but also social support services to give care and support for those who need it in our community, who are the victims of these drugs. And so our work continues each and every day, but today is a day to be very thankful for the brave men and women who serve on the front lines in this police service and everybody who supports them, whether they're here in London or in Hamilton or Toronto. The coordination of these agencies across the province is once again signaling to criminal elements that this city and this province is not a good place to do business if you're a criminal. So thanks again, Chief, to everyone on your team. On behalf of the citizens of London, we can't thank you enough. This kind of result is transformative for our community, and we know that each and every day you're out there and working to achieve these results for us. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. We now have time for questions. Katie Forbes will have a microphone with her, so if you do have a question, please put your hand up. Let us know what media outlet you're with, as well as what your name is and who your question is directed towards.
Thanks, Natasha. Dale Carruthers from the London Free Press, and my question is for Chief Trung. Chief, as I'm sure you know, 2 of the 4 accused, Rohan Reed and Jordan Brown, have been granted bail already, and a third, Sajid bin Salah, could possibly be granted bail as early as Friday when a judge makes a decision. How does that feel, knowing your officers put all this time and resources into this investigation, took all these drugs and guns off the street, and 2, possibly 3 of the men charged could be back on the streets?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'll say this. I'll say the Public Prosecution Services of Canada, who we've consulted with on this investigation. I can't thank them enough for opposing bail and contesting the show cause hearings of these individuals. Now, you're asking about impact, what it does to our members and what it does to members across the province. It's not a feeling of pride when their hard work reveals and shows releases of individuals who are committing significantly dangerous crimes in our community. Like we can just take a fraction of these drugs, Dale, and it can kill the entire room here right now. Like, these are serious crimes. We talked about the fentanyl crisis and the opioid crisis across Canada. Since 2016, over 46,000 Canadians died across our country from fentanyl. There's weapons there. These weapons are not for any other purpose but violence. So it is frustrating when criminals get bail. And the work that our officers do, this is months of hard work. Frontline investigative specialized investigators. We are working to protect our community. So it is frustrating, and it is a challenge that every police service is facing right now.
And just a follow-up question, Chief. And in theory, granting these individuals bail, could that lead to further violence potentially? Because these are allegations at this point, but they may be responsible for losing large quantities of drugs. They're likely involved with other criminal organizations. They could be targeted, or they could be trying to make money back to pay them back quickly. Is there potential for further violence by granting these individuals bail?
Well, when individuals get bail, they're released on judicial interim releases, so they're released on conditions imposed by the courts. Our job as police officers is to try and ensure that they abide by these conditions. And if they breach those conditions, we do everything we can to make sure that they go back to jail. Your question specifically about what's going to happen to these specific individuals or individuals who are involved in drug trafficking and are released, that's a very general question. And I would say that anytime there's arrests and seizures of large quantities of drugs, there are consequences in the drug subculture. And it all depends on the level of trafficking and the sophistication of that network. So it's a general question. I can't speak to those specifics, but we know that the drug trafficking underworld is not a legal profession. So there is no rules and no laws to govern, criminals' code of conduct. They don't have, there's a complete disregard for the rule of law. So I will leave that to you to surmise on, consequences and repercussions.
Thanks, Chief.
Good morning, Sean Irvin from CTV News in London here. Question's probably either for the chief or for the mayor, but probably more for the chief. The mayor said at the end of his statement there, this is transformative, what's in front of us. Obviously, the public's wondering, we see this largest record, one on record. How much more is out there is always the question, and how much more of a challenge do we face within the City of London? You said this is, broke down a good network in the city. How much more is out there? How much more are we up against? Or do you have any idea?
Yeah, I can start with that, and that's a question that is, and also a very good question. What I can tell you is that the seizure that we're displaying today has made a significant impact in the drug underworld, specifically with fentanyl. I can tell you in 2019, our organization seized a little over 2 kilograms organization-wide for the whole year of fentanyl. That's the whole year. And that was a lot of fentanyl in 2019. You're seeing almost 35 kilograms, and we're not even done the year yet. So we are taking the opioid crisis very seriously in London, and I know our police partners across the province and nationally are taking it very seriously. We've been combating the opioid crisis for over 10 years as a police service. And the trends in seizures are not reducing. We're seeing them go up. And as long as we continue to put resources and priorities to tackle this problem, we're going to see seizures increase.
Resources and priorities, we all know. I mean, taxpayers would want to know, again, on the other side of it, you talk about, and the mayor's talking about the larger size of the police force. You're still in that transition, as we all know. Has any of the additional resources contributed to this seizure? And will they, in the future, aid your service to continue to do this? I think you've answered the second part of that question. But did this have anything to do with the additional resources that the taxpayers and indirectly the City of London's paid for?
Yeah, 100%. And I'll say last year in 2024 was year one of our 4-year multi-year budget. The plan that was in place that was presented to the board, and our board supported it, and with the support of City Council, that was a 4-year plan to transform this organization. This is year one. We just finished year one. And I can't be more proud of the members that are working in our organization each and every day for all the work that they're doing. Now, year one saw we are halfway through our service delivery model change. By the end of this year, it's a 2-year plan to change the way we provide service to the community. And at the end of this year, we'll be halfway through the 4-year plan. So the investments and the support that we got from our police service board and City Council, 100% was impactful, and this is a result of investing in our members, equipment, training, developing our people, and the community is benefiting from it.
So absolutely these investments matter. And when I stood up at the State of the City and said we were going to make one of the most significant investments in public safety, I also said it was going to come with a level of expectation and accountability. And the chief and his team have delivered on that. We just saw at the last board meeting the releasing of a significant stats showing improvements in response times, more traffic enforcement, less gun shootings, less violent crime in our city. We see that it is starting to make a difference. Yes, there's still a long way to go on response times, but those metrics are all moving in the right directions. At the same time, we see this service partnering with others because of the resources and capacity they have to take what is a significant amount of exceptionally dangerous drugs off the street. Like, even just these drugs getting to the street, for the investments we made, stopping these drugs from getting to the street is totally worth the money we're spending, because yes, it is taxpayers' dollars, but these drugs will kill a lot of taxpayers in this city if they were to get out there. A lot of people in this city would suffer if these got out on the streets. And so for the work that the police service does each and every day, I cannot be so thankful for. And I think every dollar we've invested has been a dollar that has been invested with high value and high rate of return. Criminal organizations are sophisticated, and they evolve over time. Police services have to stay ahead of that. You know, think about cybercrime or child exploitation or human trafficking. If you don't have the proper resources in each of those areas, and you aren't getting ahead of the curve, and you're not, you know, being faster, better, smarter than the criminals who are trying to get around the laws each and every day because they have no regard for them, then you're not doing your job as a community to provide public safety. So these investments are critical. The execution of the plan is critical to ensure that we stay ahead of criminal organizations in this city and in this province, to ensure that we provide a city that is safe. And when you have a city that is safe, everybody flourishes. Those on the streets suffer less. Those businesses that require public safety and security to have people come to their businesses and spend their money, this is an economic decision. This is a public safety decision. This is about people's lives and protecting them. And I can tell you from my perspective, the investments we've made are delivering value each and every day, and I have no reason to believe they won't continue to do so as the chief executes this really important plan for our city.
This could be for the chief too, I'm not sure. Is there any reason to believe that there's transnational crime groups linked to this operational, cartels or outlaw motorcycle groups, just based on the size of it? That's something police are looking into? It seems like there'd be others involved beyond these 4 individuals based on the quantity of drugs seized.
Yeah, so I'll tell you, we made arrests, we made seizures. Does not mean the investigation is complete. The investigation remains ongoing. It's currently before the courts. And with all investigations involving organized crime groups and individuals, we always look at the links and the sources of the product. And we work very closely with our municipal partners, provincial partners, and national partners, as well as working with our law enforcement partners in the United States.
Okay, and just one follow-up question. So just to clarify, is one of these houses that was raided, either in Hamilton, Toronto, or London, was it being used as a fentanyl manufacturing lab? Is that the, am I right?
Yeah, I can answer that question. Yeah, definitely we have evidence in one of the houses that it was being used to repurpose the fentanyl, taking the very highly potent form and making it, putting in all sorts of additives, adulterants, and whatnot to create a product that we would typically find on the street.
And have we seen that before? Is this something new that we haven't seen?
For me, not to this scale have we seen it before. This was a well-organized operation. They had everything from gas masks with, they've been changing air filters out of it. So this was an operation where they themselves recognized the danger of the fentanyl and the lethality of it. So they had an operation set up specifically for that. So this is the largest that we have seen.
And are you able to say whether that was in London or in the Hamilton or Toronto?
I'd rather not say.
Okay.
Thanks.
I kind of want to follow up on my first question, which relates somewhat to what Dale was just discussing. And again, I want to ask probably yourself, is there a dent here? Did we make a dent? Like, is it bigger than a dent? Do we have any idea how significant this is in terms of corrupting the supply on the street, for lack of a better term?
That's a very challenging question to answer, definitely. I can say from this amount of fentanyl, absolutely, we've created a huge impact, not only in our own community, but across southwestern Ontario where they were operating. So it's impossible for me to say what's out there. I wish we knew what was out there, and if we knew what was out there, we'd be going after it, right? So, but I can say we've made a significant impact in our community and surrounding communities.
So you can't tell, but it's from the streets in terms of your own teams, is there less out there? Or is there the same amount of quantity still available for those that are battling addiction?
There is absolutely less out there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, if there are no more questions, that concludes today's press conference. Again, thank you all for joining us. We will post the media release on our website shortly. And for any media outlets joining us online, send us an email and we can send you a copy of anything that you're missing on your end. Thank you again.